January 23rd, 2026. A Ukrainian FPV drone targeted a Russian soldier. The soldier, who thought he could hide by standing still in open terrain, was still unable to avoid being targeted. Many Russian soldiers in the Donetsk region also became targets of drones. Russian soldiers attempting to take up positions in forested areas believed they would be safe from drones here. However, for experienced FPV drone operators, such areas are no obstacle. Russian soldiers' complete helplessness against drones in the attacks that have taken place is striking. They still do not have a suitable weapon to shoot down a drone. Furthermore, the fact that Russian soldiers lack adequate equipment in winter conditions indicates that Russian forces are experiencing significant logistical difficulties. Watch the attack that is about to take place very carefully. A Ukrainian FPV drone spotted a Russian soldier and immediately went after him. The Russian soldier noticed the drone and started running. But look at the terrain. There is nowhere for him to hide here. After a long chase, the Russian soldier became the drone's target before reaching the ruins. The next target is a group of Russian soldiers on motorcycles. The FPV drone quickly launched its attack. The two Russian soldiers in front luckily escaped the drone. The soldier at the back got out of his vehicle and started shooting, but none of the bullets hit the drone. The Russian soldier became the drone's target. Did you spot the Russian soldier? Another Russian soldier was spotted wandering aimlessly alone in the Pokrovsk region. Why are these soldiers still wandering alone on the front lines? There is no clear answer to this. The Ukrainian FPV drone immediately moved in for the attack. The drone, trying to find the soldier who had reached a wooded area, soon found him hiding under a tree. He most likely spotted the drone and tried to hide by staying still, but his efforts were in vain. Although there are only a few meters between the drone and the soldier remains determined not to move. Is this due to fear? Or is it the result of training? A kamikaze attack was carried out on the building where Russian soldiers were hiding. The bomb-laden drone caused such a huge explosion that no soldier survived it. Let's look at the attack from a different angle. You can clearly see how effective kamikaze drone attacks are with this attack. Now, during the attack, the Russian soldier noticed the drone following him. After being tracked for a while, the soldier tried to target the drone with his weapon. But what he didn't know was that there wasn't just one drone. The kamikaze drone, approaching rapidly, crashed directly into the soldier. This Russian soldier was spotted attempting to cross the barbed wire at Ukrainian defense positions and was hit by a drone strike. Two Russian soldiers were detected by Ukrainian reconnaissance drones. The two soldiers, who were wandering around abandoned areas in the Lyman region, were tracked for a while. It was determined what the soldiers would do and where they would hide. An FPV drone was sent to the soldiers, who were seen entering a ruined house and hiding there. Russian soldiers are no longer hiding in trenches. They now prefer to hide in areas like this. They believe they can hide better here than from drones. An FPV drone made precise maneuvers and entered the house where the soldiers were located. The soldiers, hiding behind a collapsed wall, became the drone's target. A Russian soldier advancing toward his positions in the Donetsk region in military vehicles was suddenly hit by a drone attack. Many Russian soldiers in the same area were targeted one by one. Most of these soldiers were detected on logistics routes. Since Russian forces have been unable to develop any defense against drones in areas they claim to control, Ukraine's forces have complete air superiority here. Over 2 days, more than 60 drones carried out attacks in the region, targeting Russian soldiers. However, the most critical question here is why Russian forces continue to use the same routes where they have been attacked repeatedly? Or where are Russian soldiers going on the front lines? Because most of the targeted and attacked soldiers are detected wandering aimlessly on the front lines. A Russian armored vehicle advancing toward Ukrainian positions in the Donetsk region was stopped by an artillery attack using anti-tank shells. Of course, the Russian forces' attack did not end with just one vehicle. A large mechanized group continued the attack. However, they encountered an unexpected Ukrainian defense. Hundreds of drones attacked the Russian mechanized unit. Tanks, infantry carrier armored vehicles, and many Russian military vehicles were rendered ineffective one by one. The scale of the defeat suffered by Russian forces is enormous. While many armored vehicles were completely destroyed, Russian troops withdrew and returned to their positions. A small Russian military group moving toward a Ukrainian defense position in the same area was attacked in this manner. Despite firing at the drone, they were unable to avoid being targeted. The Ukrainian Signum Battalion carried out bomb attacks with unmanned aerial vehicles on the positions, underground shelters, and trenches where Russian soldiers were hiding in the Lyman and Sumy regions. The Russian soldiers here have been fighting for months, hiding without encountering any Ukrainian soldiers. However, as you can see, the drones continue to carry out constant attacks on the Russian soldiers, driving them out of the region. What is strange is that Russian forces are sending troops to the front in an unorganized manner. It's as if the soldiers were simply given weapons and sent to the front. What are your thoughts on this matter? Share them with us in the comments. If you think the war is only happening on land, you're mistaken. Here's a war continuing in the sky. Ukrainian forces' FPV drones are shooting down Russian reconnaissance drones. Russian reconnaissance drones patrolling the front lines for intelligence and reconnaissance purposes are being neutralized one by one in this manner. Ukrainian forces launched a ground operation in the Donetsk region, targeting the village of Zolotai Kolodiaz. Ukrainian soldiers, supported by armored vehicles and unmanned aerial vehicles, entered the area and attacked Russian positions one by one. The intense firepower of the Ukrainian forces was so severe that the Russian soldiers could not even respond. First, bombs were dropped by drones, then armored vehicles began firing at the positions. Ukrainian soldiers then raided the shelters. While many Russian soldiers surrendered, Ukrainian forces raised their flag in the area. This attack by Ukrainian forces indicates that Ukraine has launched an attempt to recapture some regions. So, do you think Ukrainian forces should continue their operations on the ground, or should they focus more on drone attacks? Attacks on Russian soldiers continue not only during the day, but also throughout the night. Drones equipped with thermal imaging systems continue to target Russian soldiers non-stop. Most soldiers encountered drone attacks unexpectedly while sleeping or on guard duty. We are seeing once again the critical importance of drones on the front lines. How can one combat drones that have become such dangerous weapons? Look at the Russian soldiers. They are losing their lives without even being able to use their weapons. Russian military communication antennas were targeted. Russian soldiers in the Donetsk region are being left completely helpless. Ukrainian forces are inflicting heavy losses on Russian soldiers by launching logistical attacks on the front lines, putting them in a difficult position. Russian forces are suffering losses in every area. Russian soldiers who have suffered heavy losses on the front lines in communications, ammunition, and many other military areas are trying to survive on the front lines without encountering any enemy soldiers. Russian soldiers spotted in a forested area began to flee. It was understood that the Russian soldiers had entered an underground shelter. Russian soldiers are now building trenches and shelters like these. But none of them are sufficient against drone attacks. Ukrainian forces identified each Russian military position and launched attacks with drones carrying high explosives. In the Lyman region in particular, the Ukrainian Signum Battalion managed to completely neutralize 30 Russian military positions in just one day. As of today, Ukrainian long-range drone units have successfully targeted major Russian energy infrastructure, including the latest strike on the Penza oil depot. These operations are not just about damage, they are designed to starve the Russian military of the fuel required for large-scale winter offensives. On the front lines, Russia is struggling to maintain its armored vehicle count. Because of Ukraine's high-density FPV drone coverage, Russian forces are increasingly forced to use non-combat vehicles like motorcycles and ATVs for troop rotations, which provide zero protection against shrapnel or small arms fire. With Ukraine's increasing ability to destroy Russian logistics and armor from a distance, do you think Russia will be forced to move toward a full defensive posture by the end of this winter? Or will they continue to sacrifice their remaining reserves for small territorial gains?